Hello everyone, Ben here, and welcome to kind of an election review. This is kind of just a for fun video. Friday, the video is going to be Mark Cuban versus Donald Trump because recent news says that Mark Cuban is considering a presidential run in 2020. And also because he was the next candidate I was going to include, next scheduled candidate, because I thought he would make a good candidate. And I'll kind of talk more about that matchup later. But today's election review is kind of about about House of Cards, and the election that we're going to look at is the 2016 election that they had in the most recent season of House of Cards. So just for review, this was their this was what they 2012 election was on the show. 358, 180 for the Democrat. In the show, the Democrat was Garrett Walker and the Republican was still Mitt Romney. So in 2016, states that flipped, no, Iowa stayed blue in the show. And then these were the states that flipped. Nevada and Colorado went Republican. Indiana and Pennsylvania went Republican. West Virginia went blue, and I'll kind of get to that, and I'll review some things I thought should have changed. North Carolina and Florida went red, and Ohio and Tennessee didn't have any results for shady reasons, because it's House of Cards, nothing can be clear-cut. But obviously we know that more than likely, had they reported and certified their results, well, the Republican wins 283-255. And that's, and the show the Republican was Will Conway, of course, the Democrat being Frank Underwood. However, I kind of want to look at the campaign. Just after the DNC, which, by the way, is after the RNC, it said that the Republican Will Conway leads by double digits in every battleground state. So in every battleground state, I'm going to go ahead and put in a 2016 competitive map. Okay, this is in this instance, we're not going to count that or that. So every battleground state, most battleground states maps include Oregon, though it's leaning less and less, but I'm going to consider it a battleground state. Okay. If you're leading by double digits in every battleground state, it means some traditionally blue areas, or at least not traditionally, but recently trending Democrat areas, are probably leaning red as well. And you could easily see a battleground map that looks like this, which would be, of course, a landslide for the Republican. But so I'm going to include that, but I'm going to reset this map, and we're going to look at a blank map, and I'll show you kind of where I personally think the battlegrounds would be in this election. And especially if he's leading, battleground states by double digits, it means he's probably leading nationally by, double digits means 10 or more. So I'd say he's probably leading nationally by 18 to 15. And he's reported as a very charismatic person. So I'm going to get rid of the safe states for each candidate based off of this information and, of course, geographically where they're from. So California for the Democrat on the West Coast. We're going to get rid of all of these. Here we go. And Frank Underwood is a bit of a conservative Democrat. I don't think that's actually enough to put West Virginia in play. Indiana. And I mean, maybe considering Conway was from New York in the show, maybe that's a thing. I'm going to leave a lot of New England blank, because if you're leading by double digits as a New Yorker in New England, you could actually flip quite a bunch of these states, perhaps including Massachusetts. I'm not sure about that. We're going to put Maryland as safe blue. I don't think that would be competitive in most elections. Same with Hawaii. However, I think every other state would be competitive, or would be put as a battleground under this scenario, simply because of the massive lead that he's mentioned to have. So I'm going to kind of go through. Arizona would be safe. So basically, it would be the Romney map to start. Would be all safe. Would be all deep red. I'm talking 15 or 16, maybe up to 20 or 30 points at a minimum. Not 30. But, at least 15-point leads in all of these states that are red. And I'm going to go ahead and get this up, but just as a heads up, it's not going to be pretty for the Democrat Frank Underwood. And yes, there may have been a little bit of a poll of a narrowing, but it didn't seem like that, because I don't even think the debates would go well. Especially considering in the show, you have to think about it, Underwood took over for a very unpopular president, wasn't elected to the vice president, so he's kind of in the Gerald Ford mold. And not only that, but he's vastly unpopular. We're talking, I think he had, 22% approval rating, and the rest was disapprove. So, yeah, that doesn't bode well. Okay, you can get re-elected if you were in the mid to high 30s. But if you're talking low 20s, high teens, no, I don't think that's enough to get reelected, especially against a very popular and charismatic opponent. But let's go through the battleground states that I think would be very easily, I'm talking maybe a 10-point win in some of these states. And see, where else would you probably win by 10? Colorado used to be a traditional Republican state. Yeah, that's about where you'd win by 10, and that's already enough to put you over the top. And, you'd win these by 6 or so points. Maybe you pick that up. It just depends on how swingy New Mexico is that year. We're talking, well, he said double-digit leads in all the swing states. So, and those are, the traditional swing states. All Republican and all double digits. Okay, well, I'll include New Hampshire. For Maine, since it does that district, you know what? And since it's a New England one, I'm going to go ahead and say this one's safe. This one is likely, and this one is probably only a lean. There we go. So now let's talk about some of these other ones. Minnesota. I think that'd be slightly within 10 under the instance. Again, we're going based off of the information they're giving us. This would be a lean blue state. I just think Chicago is too populous for it to flip. But, it would be very close. Oregon, probably here. Washington, probably here. Again, this is based off of, I'm running off the assumption that it's just completely and utterly running based off of the fact that, you've got double-digit leads in swing states and also a very unpopular president and a president who wasn't even elected to the role that he ascended to the president from. I mean, that'd probably mean that these states lean red too. Same with Connecticut, Rhode Island. I'm going to lean Massachusetts blue. And I'll give Vermont to the Republicans in this instance. But I imagine there will be a lot of split ticket voting on the Democrat side. In New York, I'm going to lean towards the Republicans simply because of home state advantage. But this map would not look good for the Democrats. They get slaughtered. And maybe if they ran a better candidate next year, they'd be able to regain ground, here, a little bit in New England. But I don't think they'd be able to recover from this type of shellacking in 4 years. I mean, this is just brutal. And who knows, if he's a good president, he could flip a few of these light blue states and start working on these dark blue states. It wouldn't be sustainable, but, this is just the map I'd see with the type of show it is. But as we all know, the map we wound up getting in the show this was the map we wound up getting, which doesn't exactly make any sense. But my prediction would be for a very, very, actually I left this one blue. Jersey, Delaware. And I think I meant to give Maine. But this was the prediction that I had. If this were to be, based off of the information we had, you're not going to claw this type of margin back in the amount of time that you'd maybe be able to get some of these states to go back, like maybe New York and Vermont. Pick up Washington, Delaware, Jersey, maybe New Mexico and Minnesota, but it's still an uphill battle. It's difficult, as you can clearly see. Also, I kind of messed up, but because it was supposed to look like this. Which this map doesn't make any sense because West Virginia and Tennessee is enough to flip the election. And this is what the map should have all looked like according to the show, except we all know shenanigans happened. But I say that it would be much worse for the Democrats, and I don't think there was any way, even with electoral and voter shenanigans, I just don't see how Frank Underwood actually won the election in the show. And yes, I should have said spoiler alert, but I figured the title would give it away. So this is probably what the map would look like. And I know I kind of rambled on there, but I just don't think this would be... I don't think there's a realistic scenario for Frank Underwood to win, even with the voter shenanigans he pulled. I just don't think it would happen. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.